Welcome to the last video session on this Unit 4 combinational logic circuits. And in the previous video, we had looked into the multiplexers. A multiplexer is also called a data selector. It will select one of the inputs and present it at the output. So that is what is a job of a data selector or the multiplexer. So in this session, we will look into the application of a multiplexer, that is using the multiplexer how we can realize Boolean functions. So we have seen this in the decoder also. Using a decoder circuit, we can implement Boolean functions. We have seen that. Since the multiplexer is nothing but an extension of the decoder circuit, so we can use the multiplexer also to implement the Boolean function. So that is what we will be seeing in this video session. Now let us take an example. F is a function of three variables x, y, and z, and the minterms are 1, 2, 6, and 7. So for a three variable input, the combination of these three variables will be totally 8 combinations, starting from all the 3 bits being zeros to all the 3 input bits being ones. So that will be the input. Now, the function output is 1 when the minterms, for the minterm, the function output is 1 for the minterms 1, M1, M2, M6, and M7. So that is what is the definition that we understand from this equation here. All right, now let us try to implement this Boolean function. So here is the, so we are going to treat the inputs x and y as the select lines S0 and S1. And the input z, we are going to treat it with two separate input data lines, that is for I0 and I1. I0, we are going to give the true value of z, and the complement, that is z complement, is given to I1. Now, how did we arrive at this circuit? We will just come to that point. Next, to I2, I'm going to give the input. To the I2 input, I'm going to keep it always 0, and the I3 input, I'm going to keep it always as 1. So from this combination, I'm going to get an output F, which will be equal to 1, which will be high for the minterms M1, M2, M6, and M7. Now, how that is done is what we are going to see through from this truth table. Now, if you consider the truth table for the combination, of course, x is the most significant bit and z is the least significant bit. So when x and y both are 0, 0, and if z is 0 and z is 1, if z is 0, what happens to the 0 here? I mean the I0 input, it will take the value of z. Z is 0, z complement will be 1. All right, so we are not considering the z complement here. Okay, so therefore we are just looking at the function. Okay, so f, when z is 0, f is 0. And when z is 1, f is 1. Now, z complement is given to 1, but the input line 1 will not be selected. Now, why? Because for input line 1 to be selected, the combination of y and x, or x and y, should be x should be 0 and y should be equal to 1, right? See, from the understanding of the mux, what we know, if S0 and S1, S0 being the lower and S1 being the higher bit. So S1, S0 is 0, 0, then I0 will be selected. If S1, S0 is 0, 1, I1 will be selected. For 1, 0 combination, 2 will be selected. For 1, 1 combination, 3 will be selected. So that is our basic understanding on the mux, right? 4:1 mux. Here they just write this simple notation like this: 4:1 mux. It implies that there are n input lines for the 2 power n, n select lines for the 2 power n input or the data lines, and 1 output. That is our understanding on a mux. Okay, now we see that when x and y both are 0, 0, when z is 0, the output is 0. When z is 1, the output is 1. So therefore, the function is dependent upon z. All right, the output is 1. So we want it for 1. The function should be high for the minterm 1. So this is the minterm 1, that is x bar, y bar, z. So we have got the output, which is for this first minterm m1. For the next combination, that is when x is 0 and y is 1. Now let us see what happens when z is 0 and when z is 1. When z is 0, the z complement will be 1. When z is 1, the z complement will be 0. So therefore, for this combination of x and y, that is 0 and 1, the input line or the data line I1 is selected, and for that we have to give the complement of z, right? So therefore, we see that the function, now why the complement? See, the function output is for the minterm 2, and for the minterm 3, the output should be 0. So therefore, the function is high for the minterm m2. So x complement y z complement is nothing but the m2 minterm. So for the second, the m2 minterm output is 1. Therefore, we have 1. And for the m3 minterm output is 0. So therefore, the first two minterms, we have made the function output available. So by treating simply with z and z complement. All right. So therefore, we have now chosen the input lines I0 and I1 when x and y are 0, 0 and 0, 1 combination. Now let us look for the next combination. Now the output f is high only for M1 minterm and M2 minterm. For M3, M4 and M5, output is 0. The function output is 0. So therefore, we have seen here for M3, the output is 0. For M4, that is when X and Y combination are 1 and 0. For M4 and M5, the output should be 0. So therefore, the input line 2 is given with a 0 because we don't want function output for these two combination or for these two minterms. So therefore, I2 will be given 0. Next, 6 and 7, we want the output to be 1. So therefore, we are giving the I3 input to be 1. So thereby, now we see the combination x, y is 1, 1, and Z, if it is 0, then the output is 6, or the output is high for minterm 6. And if Z is 1, the output is high for the minterm 7. So we are going to use X and Y as a select line. So though we require 3 inputs and 1 output for this function realization, we are going to use X and Y as a select lines and Z as a input data to find or to get the output. Thereby, we have realized the Boolean function, that is a 3 input Boolean function, by using this multiplexer. All right. So we have demonstrated the use of the multiplexer to realize the Boolean function implementation. So this is the truth table and this is the circuit diagram. All right. So I hope now the point is clear why the I naught input or the data line is given Z as the input and why Z complement is available at I1 or the data line 1 is clear, and why 0 is given for data line 2 or I2 and why 1 is given for data line 3 or I3 is clear. All right. So therefore, we have realized these 4 minterms by just modifying the 4:1 mux by selecting, by using X and Y as a select lines and by giving Z and Z complement to the data lines 0 and 1 and giving 0 and 1 combination, 0 and 1 as an input, setting the input of I2 and I3 as 0 and 1, we can realize this Boolean function. All right. So I hope this point is very clear now. Now let us look at another example, another Boolean example, Boolean function realization. Now in this case, we are having 4 inputs. So we have f as a function of 4 variables a, b, c, and d. And the output is high for the minterm M1, M3, M4, M11, M12, 13, 14, and 15. Now let us look through the table. Now since we want the function value to be 1 for M1, so therefore we have to give f to be equal to d. Now you see that when f is equal to, that means I naught, the input data I naught should be equal to d, as we can remember or recall from the previous example. All right. So when d naught is 0, irrespective of a, b, c, when d naught is not irrespective, when a, b, c are zeros, and when d naught is 0, f is 0. When d naught is 1, f is 1. So therefore, the first function would be f will be equal to d. So therefore, for input, so we are here, we see that the circuit what we are going to use is a 8:1 mux, and how the inputs A, B, C, D is divided among the select lines and the data lines is what we are seeing. And what happens to the other input lines is what we are considering and drawing this circuit. To realize this Boolean function, which is a 4 variable Boolean function and which has output high for the minterms M1, M3, M4, M11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. All right. Okay. Now, as we have seen here, the I naught input will be given with D, which takes care of this 1. the first minterm M1. So therefore I naught is given D. For the next combination, that is when A and B are zeros and when C is 1, and D naught, D is 0 and when D is 1. So when D is 0, F is 0, and when D is 1, F is 1. So this again for 3, that is for the minterm 3 also we are seeing that from the truth table, we are seeing that the I2 input should be given with D, the input D. All right. So therefore, we have given I0 and I1 with input D. So I0 and I1 are shorted and given to input D. All right. So that is seen. So we have seen that M1 is covered, minterm M3 is covered here. And next, what happens for minterm minterm M4? For M4, we have to, that is for combination when A is 0, B is 1, and C is 0. When D is 0, the function should be 1. So therefore, for this combination, we have to give F with a complement of D. So therefore, we are going to give D complement to the D2 or I2, the data line 2 or the input line I2. So therefore, we are going to give F is equal to D complement. Next, for the next combination, that is when A is 0, B is 1, and C is 1. All right. For this combination, so that is for 5 and 6, the output is not defined or output is 0. So therefore, we have to put the function value to be 0. So therefore, for 6 and 7, we are putting I3 and I4, we are tying it to 0 and giving as the input. So therefore, for this combination, F will be 0. The function value will be 0. Now, we have covered from 0 to 6, 7 so far. Now, 8, 9, and 10. Those combinations also, it is 0. So next combination is for 8. That is when A is 1 and B is 0 and C is 0. Then when D is 0, it is the minterm 8. When D is 1, that is minterm 9. For both that, the function, for both those minterms, both of those minterms, the function value should be 0. Therefore, again, we are giving with F is equal to 0. All right. So we can see from here that when D is 0, this is for okay. So we have considered for M6, M7, M8, M9. So this will take care of M6, M7, M8, M9. So all these combinations are taken care. Now for M10, it is also 0, and for M11, that is when A is 1, B is 0, and C is 1. And when D is 0, it is M10, and when D is 1, it is M11. So output is M11. So therefore, for this combination, F is equal to D. So therefore, we are going to give the that is the I5, that is the input 5 with D. So this 3, 4 takes care of all this up to 9, and rather, yeah, up to 9. And then for 10 and 11, the 5 takes care. Okay. So this is for, so we have totally 18 combinations. So this is for 0, 1 combination of D. This is for one, this is for, M0, M1. This is for M1, M2, M3, M4, M5, M6, M7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and 15. So each of this input line will be referred for 2 combinations. That's what we are observing here, right? Okay. So for the next, we have, that is for the combination when A and B are ones and C is 0, when D is 0 or D is 1, the output for both of this combination output should be 1. So therefore F is 1. So we are selecting the 6 I6 to be equal to 1 from this function value. Similarly, that is for 12 and 13. Next, for 14 and 15, also the function value is 1. So therefore, again for the other two combinations, that is when A, B, C are all ones and when D is 0 or when D is 1, the function output is 1. So therefore for 7 also, I7 also, we are going to tie it to a high, and thereby we are seeing that it is equal to 1. So therefore this circuit is deduced by considering the truth table in terms of D. So we are going to use A, B, C as a select lines, and D we will be using as one of the inputs, and a combination of D and D bar will be used. So we are implementing the function in terms of D, and the 0 and 1 input, we are implementing this Boolean function using the multiplexer. All right. So you can use any, you can implement any Boolean function by using this multiplexer. All right. So we have seen 2 examples of how a Boolean function can be realized using the multiplexer. All right. So that is an application of the multiplexer. The next important topic is a 3-state gates. So a 3-state gate is a very essential point. For example, this is a figure of a buffer. So this we call it as a 3-state buffer. So it is not a NOT gate. A NOT gate will have a bubble here. So without the bubble, this is called as a buffer. Now, what is the job of a buffer? It will simply delay the input by some amount. That's all is the job of the buffer. It will just delay and present it at the output. So Y will be equal to A. That is the output of this circuit. Okay. Now, in certain cases, we don't want the input to be available at the output. So we want the circuit to be present, but we want it to be isolated. The input and output are to be isolated. When this condition will occur, say for example, we are the simplest example is, let me say we are talking of the mobile phone and you are receiving the data from your mobile phone, and you are not getting, when you click on a image or when you click on a website, you don't get the complete image or the complete website at a stretch. You keep receiving the data because it is the serial communication, right? So you are going to receive the data, and once the complete data is received, then only it is displayed to you as a complete picture. Now that's what happens. Now until then, can we go on displaying this bits by bits, whatever is appearing? No. So we want the input not to be displayed at the output until the complete picture is received. Now that is why whenever you are receiving, whenever you click on a website or whenever you click on an image, so first you will get some information, and after some time only you get the complete information. That means first some information is passed, which just helps you getting, you should know that whether some data is being received or not. So for that reason, some data is displayed, and after that the complete picture. Now until then, until the complete picture or the information or the data of the complete picture is received, the input and output should be disconnected, right? Or it should not be presented at the output. So that is an example of where this three state can be used. All right, so the input should not be available at the output until I have got the complete information. In such a case, we go for what is called as the high impedance state. All right, as we know, high impedance means resistance. So if it is a DC circuit, we call it as a resistance, and for an AC circuit, we call it as an impedance. I hope you recall that. These are the basics. Okay, so high impedance. So we want the circuit to offer high impedance. There should be connectivity, but then it should offer high impedance. All right, just like many of you would be attending the class, physically present but mentally absent, right? Mentally absent means you are not involving there. Just for the attendance sake, you are sitting there. Then what happens? I assume that you are connected in the class, but what you are doing is you are physically present, mentally absent. That means you are thinking it's something else, you are in some other world. Then at that point, you are offering high impedance to whatever is being discussed in the class. All right, so you are in a tri state. Okay, input is being told, you are expected to receive, but you are not receiving, you are gone into some other state, a third state, right? So that is an example, the live example. All right, so here we have a control input. So when we have a control input is equal to 1, then the input whatever is available at A is presented at the output with a delay. Now when the control input is 0, then whatever is available at A is not available at uh, output Y. That means there is connection, but input is not presented at the output. That means it shows a high impedance. So high impedance means it acts like an open circuit. Though there is connection, there is open circuit. Something like that is the understanding here. Okay, so this is the graphic symbol of a three-state buffer, and how it works is what I have explained to you with this diagram. Now, how this works is we can implement this uh, three-state buffer by using the multiplexer. A 2:1 line multiplexer can be used to realize this three-state buffer. So consider this circuit, what we have shown here. So when I say a multiplexer, it will have inputs and it will have select lines and it will have only one output. Now here I have considered a 2 input, 1 select line, because we have n select lines and 2 power n input lines. So since n is equal to 1, so you will have 1 select line, and 2 power 1 is equal to 2. So therefore you will have 2 data lines. So when select is 0, what happens? When select is 0, the complement of that, that is the NOT gate of that, will be 1. So A is made to be available at Y. What about B? Okay, so B is given to the another buffer, a tri-state buffer. And now instead of directly giving A to the output, now we are giving through a buffer. All right, it's a tri-state buffer. Okay, so therefore now B also is available, but that is not presented to the output Y because of the select being 0. Since select is 0, only one of it, as we see here, when uh, when the select input, when the control input is high, only then the circuit will present the input to the output. Otherwise, it will be in a tri-state. It will not receive, or it will not, uh, the connection will be there, but there will be no data flowing from the input to the output. All right. As I said, physically present, mentally absent, that kind of a situation here. Okay. So therefore, we see that uh, when select is 0, input A is made to be available at the output Y, but B is not, because the tri-state buffer connected to A will work. The tri-state buffer connected to B will be in a high impedance state because of the select line being 0. Now, when select line is 1, the complement of that is 0. So therefore, the tri-state buffer connected to A will be in the high impedance state, and the buffer connected to input B will be enabled, or it will be such that the input B will be available at the output Y. So therefore, we have simply considered how a multiplexer, a 2:1 multiplexer, can be used to realize the three-state buffer. Of course, the multiplexer should be implemented using a NOT gate or a inverter. So in the other name for a NOT gate is an inverter. All right. So we have seen this. So next, how we can extend the same to a four input, how we can select using 4 inputs. So therefore, here we are having 4 tri-state buffers, and we are using a 2 to 4 decoder line. All right. So as you know, the decoders and multiplexers are similar circuits, right? So if you add OR gate to the decoder circuit, that becomes a multiplexer. All the outputs of the OR gate, all the outputs of the MUX, if you give it to a one OR gate, that gives you the multiplexer, right? So that is a simple relation between decoder and multiplexer. Of course, decoder also has select lines, the input. And here we are using the enable also. Okay, so the enable, here it is active high. So the enable signal also will be used here. So if enable is high, only then the decoder is functioning. If enable is low, then the decoder is not functioning and it will be disabled. All right. So this is an example of how you can select 4 lines, how you can use a how you can use a tri-state buffer for 4 input lines. So this is the understanding of this circuit. So far, we have seen all these topics in the unit 4, that is the combinational logic circuit. And we have seen the multiplexers and how the multiplexers are used. That means the application of multiplexers is what we have considered in the last, in the previous video session and in this video session. So with that, we end the discussion on this unit, combinational logic circuit. So this is unit 4. In the next session, next is unit 5, which is the sequential logic circuit. When we take up sequential logic circuit, we will get more details into what are the topics, how it is different, how sequential logic circuit is different from combinational logic circuit. All that information we will see in the next video session. Thanks for your patience. Have a good day. Bye.